Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, where today we see the return of somebody that we haven't seen around here for a while. And no, I don't mean a Rorik 78, I mean for a while. This is Steve from Lobstep Gaming. You may remember him as that guy in World of Tanks who does all the funny shit. Do you remember the ELC who sat in a bush inside a cap circle, exactly 51 metres away from an enemy tank destroyer, who never knew he was there the whole time the base was being capped? Yeah, that was him. Or the Pain Train, featuring him and another FCM 50 pushing a heavy tank at 50 kilometres an hour and turning the heavy tank into their own personal battering ram. Yeah, that was him too. He has made something of a name for himself both on Twitch and on YouTube, and links down below to both his Twitch and YouTube channel, as the guy who does the funny shit. Which is why today's battle is kind of surprising, although it really shouldn't be, because the thing is, in order to get away with all the shenanigans that he pulls when he's playing World of Tanks, you do have to kind of be good at the game. And it's kind of easy to forget that when you see him pushing a heavy tank at 50 kilometers per hour and some poor hapless victim while yelling, "Choo choo, motherfucker!" Right. In order to be able to do that and make it work, you do actually have to be pretty good at World of Tanks. And so today's battle, well, it's Lobstep here showing that he is actually pretty good at World of Tanks. He's not just the guy who does all the silly shit. Although I hope he does continue to do the silly shit, because it's usually hilarious. Today, however, he's just showing how good he is. The tank he's in does help, of course. This is the Kampfpanzer 50T. Now, for those of you who've never heard of it, there's a good reason for that. This is another one of those bullshit tanks. You see, in the 50s and 60s, there were a whole bunch of competing designs put forward by German engineers for what would eventually become the Leopard 1. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the Leopard 1, great tank, very fast, amazing gun, no armour whatsoever. Because until the development of turbine engines for tanks, which are basically jet engines, you had to choose. Your tank could be powerful, fast, well armoured. Pick two, you couldn't have all three. And so the Leopard 1, it chose powerful and fast. It definitely was not well armoured. Now, because the Leopard 1 actually exists, it actually had to choose between those three options. But because the Kampfpanzer 50T never actually existed beyond the drawing stage, the designers didn't have to worry with trivial little details like how can we give it a powerful gun and an impenetrable turret and have it go faster than 25 kilometers per hour. And so because the designers never had to worry about that, neither did Wargaming. This thing has a 105mm gun with absurdly good penetration, aiming time and accuracy and a fairly good rate of fire. It has a 250mm thick, rounded and sloped turret, and it is somehow, with a 1960s engine, able to propel all of this at speeds of 60 kilometers per hour. And this isn't like the AMX 40, by the way. This isn't a theoretical top speed, where the AMX 40 was supposed to be able to do 40 kilometers per hour, and it can if you push it off a cliff. Now this thing, as you can quite clearly see, will easily do 60 kilometers per hour. So, because they didn't have to worry about silly little things like facts and reality and the laws of physics, what we have here is a tank that is about twice the size of a Tiger, has thicker armour than a Tiger, is somehow slightly lighter than a Tiger, and moves twice as fast as a Tiger. Would you be at all surprised to hear, as Lobstep racks up 4,000 damage already at his third kill, that this thing is generally considered to be the best tier 9 medium tank currently available in World of Tanks? No, me neither. Now, while it is true that having a great tank certainly helps your chances, this is why lots of mediocre light tank drivers suddenly find themselves being pretty damn impressive armoured car drivers. But a great tank by itself is no guarantee of success. There are lots of great tanks in this battle that are already dead. You do actually have to know how to use it. And that's something that's easy to forget when you watch Lobstep doing all of his stupid shit. But he is actually a good player. Of course, being in a tank that's got a turret strong enough to shrug off 750 damage from a T-95's gun while still doing 60 kilometers per hour certainly doesn't hurt your chances. Lobstep has now bounced More than 3,000 damage in this medium tank. Remember, this was one of the competing designs for the tank that would eventually become the Leopard. When was the last time you were playing a Leopard in World of Tanks and bounced 3,000 damage? So why didn't they go with this design instead of the Leopard? Well, you see, the Leopard had the unfortunate disadvantage of being real, so... Notice how he's backing off here. The AMX 1375 was keeping him spotted, and that's a lot of enemy tanks in the castle up there. There's a lot of open ground he's going to have to cross in order to get in amongst those enemy tanks in the castle. And this is a tough tank. I mean, it's not just a 250mm turret. That frontal armour is 120mm thick, and look at the sloping on it. But still, why give a sucker an even break? So rather than charging in while spotted and giving them all a chance, he's going to have to work his way around the map. Like, he's going to have to cross half the map here, skirting around the border in order to get into a better position. And that might be an issue for a tank that actually has to obey the laws of physics. But he's in the Kampfpanzer 50T. And this thing is equipped with a 900 horsepower 1960s engine, the details of which have sadly been lost in the mists of time and are no longer available to modern tank designers, but could take a tank that weighs 55 tons with a 250mm thick turret and a 120mm thick hull, and propel it across country at speeds of 60 km per hour. If only those 1960s engine designers had taken the trouble of writing their plans down, eh? We wouldn't need turbines on modern tanks. Anyway, he's in position, and that's not going to be good news for the T-56. I mean, things are fairly even here. Both teams are at 10 kills apiece. And the enemy team actually have more hit points. Their positioning isn't terrible either. I mean, they've got the T-56 and the E-50 here blocking the hill and spotting anybody coming over the hill, but the T-95 and the T-30, two tank destroyers with extremely big and powerful guns. The enemy team have now gone ahead by 1 kill, and the rest of Lobstep's team are trying to work their way around the flanks as he takes out the T-56, because the onus is pretty much on Lobstep here to hold the middle. And having killed the T-56, and with the E-50 probably no longer feeling particularly brave, and if the team's T-71 had been able to survive for 30 seconds longer, that E-50 would right now be backing up right into his gun sights. But, well, he didn't. So the E-50's managed to survive. And they really do need to kill him. Or at least, Lobstep really needs him dead, because the E-50, while still alive, can still spot anybody trying to cross that open ground and get in amongst the T-95 and the T-30. And the E-50 is the only one who's really been able to damage Steve so far. Managed to put a shot into his side when he was taking out the T-56. There's the E-50. Going to be worth the risk to try to take him out, especially given that the tank destroyers appear to have backed off. Going to go for it. Hello! It's me! Gotcha! Right, makes use of all of that momentum in through the buildings, into the low ground, just in case the T-30 feels a bit brave. Nope. And he has now successfully made it. There's 2 minutes of the battle left. T-30 and T-95. Oh, T-30 sees him and shoots into his tracks. Oh, T-95's looking right at him. Backs back up, backs down, just enough to only expose the turret, which the T-95 has already bounced a shot off. Going for the T-95's hatch. I mean, the T-95 has seriously strong frontal armour. Again, not having any success hitting the commander's cupola. But killing the T-30 has allowed everybody else to start swarming the T-95, and look where he's aiming. Not straight into the side armour. He's aiming above the side armour, into the hull. And the reason for that, because he actually knows what he's doing. The T-95 is just a T-28 with an extra set of tracks. It's actually got 4 sets of tracks, 2 on each side. So if you shoot into the side skirts, all you're doing is hitting the tracks. Of course, if you shoot at it from behind... yeah. They still have to climb and catch that AMX 1357 though. They have a minute to go, and Lobstep's on the attacking team. This is assault mode. So the AMX 1357 just needs to still be alive at the end of the match, and he wins. But he only wins if he's alive at the end of the match, and Lobstep's team have not capped. And since the 3 survivors apparently are not stupid, they're all sitting in the cap circle. And with 3 of them in here, they will win by capping before the match timer expires. So the AMX 1357 now has to do something. At the very least, he has to try to get a cap reset off. And he is at least trying to do exactly that. Unfortunately, his tactic of choice seems to be stop in the middle of an open field in front of the 53 TP, camp hands a 50T and a T30. And if he'd been in an armoured car, that might have worked. But, well, he isn't, so it didn't. Lobstep there in the Camp Panzer 50T, unsurprisingly getting an ace tanker as well as a steel wall in a medium tank, the Top Gun and the high caliber. That was 11,000 combined damage, 7,500 done and 3,500 blocked. The Kampfpanzer 50T. For when people tell you have to choose between protection, firepower and mobility. Except no substitutes. Anyway, thanks Lobstep. It is always a pleasure to see one of your battles. And I hope everybody else enjoyed it too, because that's it for today. Don't forget, if you want to see more like this, then check out the links in the video description to his Twitch and YouTube channels. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.